Hello everybody, and welcome to the review, the full album review for Björk's album Medulla. I don't know if I said Medulla right, but it's Björk's album Medulla, the track-by-track breakdown over here at the Rockin' Beards podcast with your boy Holden Stephan Roy. I did not forget, I told y'all I'm gonna do all the Björk albums. I didn't say I was going to do it in a timely fashion. I just said I was going to review them all. So yes, we are here. We got some Medulla, and I'm so excited to be discussing this with you. I say that sincerely. Spoiler alert, this may be one of the weirdest albums I've talked about on this entire channel, and I can't wait. On that note, I recognize who I am. I'm a person who one day was like, I'm going to start reviewing albums. And then I just kept doing it. And then I did it in a format like this, where it's track by track. And I'm a lot more interested in album composition and just how people write songs in a way that makes an album super interesting and diverse than, let's say, the individual singles version of it, which I kind of think a lot of people these days are into singles. But when I was young and I was buying albums, I cared about the singles, and I treated music like it was a bunch of singles. And now that I'm like doing this whole channel thing, I've come to really just fall for the idea of like albums being these incredible, almost movie-esque pictures to go through when done correctly. I'm not trying to imply anything about Medulla. That's what the whole review's for. I'm just describing where I've come to be, where I've come to be at through this journey of doing these album reviews. But a lot of my ability to even just learn and grow, because Google sucks. Go type into Google. SEO guys ruined Google. So the best way I've come to learn is really just talking to y'all, the real fans. Anybody clicking on a Björk review that says part 1 that's this long, y'all are OG fans, and I recognize that. So y'all have probably more profound knowledge and wisdom than I have. This is the fresh eyes perspective of this journey. Anyway, so with that, I like to give a lot of love to the comment section, and I'll answer you if you make that comment. And I like to kind of pick up my favorite comment. Typically it's last week's video, but we'll go with last Björk video, in which case I did do the Vespertine review, and on that Shiru90 said, based on the latest news from her, and this is in response to something I said directly, but based on the latest news from her, I'd say a new album will probably not be released before 2021-2022. Which is a shame, but gives me time to get through the quest, you know what I'm saying? I've heard a recent interview and she says she always writes new stuff, but right now she's still far away from a new album. Don't take my words for granted though, it's just my hypothesis. I'm gonna trust your hypothesis more than mine. I'm like a brand new Björk fan. I only learned how to say her name after putting out a couple of videos. For all we know, she might surprise us all. I hope she does. I wonder if she plans to continue her collab with Arca or Rabbit, or if she plans to change once more. She has changed collaborators a lot through her solo career. In Vespertine, she worked with Matmos, and I don't think I said that about the Vespertine review, so thank you Shiru90 for pointing that out to everybody watching the Medulla review. I don't actually think I looked up who the producer person was for this project, but that's okay. I'm going to get into it real soon, so before we do, I'd like to give a special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, TG Black, Hurricane, Lindell Williams, Coney Sparks. And yeah, they're awesome and they deserve a plug while people are still listening instead of at the end when everybody clicks away. On that note, let's get into it. Today, we are continuing the quest of the Björk albums. I decided after reviewing her album Utopia that I wanted to hear all of her music and go through that process of learning and just seeing like why she has the reputation she has in music land, we'll say. With that, I've gone through them now chronologically based on Spotify and Wikipedia and stuff. So we started with Debut, then we did Post, and then just kind of rolled on from there, including watching Dancer in the Dark and Selma songs. And it looks like next up I get to talk about Drawing Restraint 9, the music from Matthew Barney's movie or whatever. So yeah, that's next on my list before I get to the one after that, which I think is Volta, maybe? Anyway, like I said, I'm going to keep running it through until I get to the point where I listen to Utopia again and kind of wrap up and be like, so now that I've gone through her career, what did I think about what I said before? Because like Utopia, like I said, was my first ever anything Björk. And then so now I've gone through it chronologically, just kind of to go through the experience of having all of her music. Like, it came out in that order. That's how people from the OG days would have consumed her content. So in terms of like the full albums and listening to it, so I wanted to go through that experience. I was actually like ready to go with this Medulla review like a month ago, and I don't know what happened. Time passed, and then I was like, my vacation's coming up. I'm on vacation right now. So likely the day that this part one comes out is the day that I'm sitting here on vacation, and I'm able to I'm recording this. It's lunchtime at work, so all of my work colleagues are eating lunch, and I am sitting here doing this review, having had quite the leisurely morning, which included re-listening to this album because it's actually been a couple of weeks since I did my review. And got to this point. As far as like a general familiarity with her, I've come to be almost enamored with Björk's perception of the world, and I find it really inspirational, and to a degree where the biggest takeaway I have since I started this little mini Björk quest is no longer does being outside with the silence, is it like without headphones, it's not as daunting, because Björk almost taught me to listen for the natural rhythms and music in my environment. And so like, I'm a type of person in a crowded area, I like my headphones on blasting the music, but now it's almost like I can mix the sounds of the ambiance in my head to create some rhythms up inside my mind, because I feel like Björk does that. And I don't know, I find it really fun now. And so in a weird way, going through these Björk albums has had like a tangibly positive impact on my life. Like, it's become a new dream of mine that somehow these reviews catch Björk's attention and she wants to talk to me. That'd be hella cool. And then I could do a little interview with her, and that would blow my freaking mind, because I bet, all things considered, she is one of the rarest philosophical music-y minds that I think we'll get, like, in this whole little generation of stuff out there. Like, I'm surprised like a lot more people aren't all over her stuff, all things considered. I don't know, maybe because she's a little bit on the older end of life now, so she isn't as cool. I guess that's kind of how it works a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like, man, Utopia is an album that should have been fresh and popping with all the youths too. It was awesome. Anyway, we're here to talk about Medulla, and if you give me a second, I looked up the definition of medulla this time. I figured we just run with that. It's the inner region of an organ or tissue, especially when it is distinguishable from the outer region or cortex, as in a kidney, an adrenal gland, or hair. The source is whatever Google pulls with that dictionary box when you type up a word. Oh, it's Oxford. It is also short for medulla oblongata, which, give me a second, I don't want to be wrong, so I'm going to fucking read the internet here at y'all. The continuation of the spinal cord within the skull, formulating the lowest part of the brainstem, constraining control centers for the heart and lungs. So there you go. It's inner organs. The soft internal tissue of a pith of a plant. I think with that, and Björk had just had like a baby. So I think we're supposed to like be in the internally organs creating baby and stuff mode. I mean, the internet told me she was in like baby mode, so I have no reason to doubt the internet on this. She seems to be extremely inspired by her life in almost gonzo journalistic kind of way, and I don't say that negatively. I say that like it's freaking cool. And if we're getting mommy Björk, I'm down. And I say this with sincerity, at this juncture of my life, doing some homeworks and stuff, I'm always down to hear what the mommies have to say, because one day I'm going to be that daddy, and then I'm going to have to deal with a mommy. And I want to make sure I understand all the mommy stuff I can possibly understand, so that I can survive unscathed with as little of the dumb men moves I am likely to make in the course of dealing with that type of stuff. I'm like turning 32 in a few days, so like all I'm thinking about lately is this. I mean, it's hard to not think about baby stuff with this damn Björk album. And anyway, we'll get into it. I like the cover. She looks freaking fierce. She's got this like cool mask on, and it looks like she's got an accompanying dress thingy, but it's very like, you know, revealing in an attractive, sexy kind of way, but more like she could kill me. with the fierceness in her eyes, like she has some mutant powers that will strangle me if I like approach her in a negative kind of way. Like, I really like this cover. I think of all the Björk covers so far, the look in her eyes, it's so engaging, it's so attractive, in like this mysterious, like her mind is explosively interesting. Like, I don't know, I find it really cool. And again, I'm also like, picture her, using some mystic powers to slice you up if you fuck with her. I think I've established that now. So I think the cover is cool. It's engaging. I don't know. I like it. The title's interesting. Kind of sets a theme for the album in the way that she's been doing so far with all the other projects. And on that note, I see no reason not to just get into this and start talking about how the pleasure is all mine. So, a key thing to point out about, I guess, the music of this album. So Vespertine had a lot of weird samples and instruments and sounds, I believe, that put it together and created this musical experience. That was really cool. It was really enthralling, but it had a lot of sounds going on, and then you've had other ones that were large sounds and whatnot. So it's almost like Björk, having gone through pushing different boundaries within herself on how she's going to make the albums, decided to go to the next level and more or less produce an a cappella album that almost all the musicality is based on, specifically human voices and mouth sounds. So in a sense, we are saying here that Björk made the beatbox album. And I say that really cool, but you get like a real example of that, the way that I'm not doing it very well, but those kinds of sounds playing like a percussion role, and then her like weird moaning sounds coming in to contrast that as she flows through it, and it just kind of has oohs and ahs that fill it out. Like, listen, the first time I heard this album, I was like, so this is the weirdness of Björk. Like, I thought the weirdness was the click clankety clanks in the Summer Songs album, but no, this is the weirdness, because like this song doesn't freaking sound like a lot of other musics you're ever going to hear in your life, while simultaneously following the tropes of those musics in terms of composition and a little hook and whatnot. But like, all the sounds she uses are just so interesting. Lyrically, she comes in and she's like, the pleasure is all mine, to get to be the generous one is the strongest dance, the pleasure is all mine, to finally let go and evenly we flow. And it seems interesting. The last album was very sex driven, so moving into this, from what the internet says, it's a mommy-ish kind of tone, and I kind of see what she's talking about. Like, I mean, from like a breastfeeding perspective, you're in like this empowered position where you're like caring and nurturing and giving like life essence to your child, and it must be like such an amazing feeling to like do that. And I don't really know what that's like, because I don't think I can ever know, to my knowledge, unless they do some weird science crap in the next decade or so, but I'm not really banking on it. But I don't know, to finally let go and evenly we flow, it kind of just also pictures like this connection with this little being that is yours. And again, I've been thinking a lot in the last few months about just babies, as my baby fever in my own little life kicks in. And I don't know, I kind of can picture what that emotion is like, kind of like just as I fantasize about having, it sounds kind of fucking weird, but fantasize about just what it's like to have a kid and whatnot, and to have that little being where it's like you take what's yours and you have this like focal point to give towards this new creature. Granted, in the next verse, I'm not really one of the women like her, but the pleasure is all mine. Women like us, we strengthen most, host like when in doubt give. And I think it's almost like a commentary on mothering, where when you are a mother, a woman like her, you get this strength from giving, and even if it's confusing and weird, or I guess it must be hard to transition into it, like fuck, it trips me out a lot. I don't know, I feel like it's just kind of given almost like this like sense of, wow, being a mom is cool. Like it's empowering to be a mother. I feel like stronger and more amazing, almost like who gives most, who, like almost like it's now like a competitive edge to be altruistic because you give strength almost to your child. I don't know. When in doubt, give. It's such an interesting line too, right? Because I guess as a parent, you're going to have moments where you have choices to make. And I suppose when you really evaluate every choice in your life, are you being selfish with that choice or are you being selfless with that choice? That's how I boil the world down. In every action, I'm being selfish or selfless. Like you can either have those. Sometimes maybe they coincide. But in general, you're allowed to be selfish. No one's saying you can't be selfish, but I guess when it comes to parenting, the correct option in Björk's message here is when in doubt, give. Choose to be selfless and you will like always be good with it because the pleasure is in giving. And I kind of understand that as I get older. And I'm not as broke and poor as young stupid me. So I find a lot of pleasure in altruism and just generosity in general. Like I understand the essence of the spirit of Christmas now that I'm not broke. Because when you're broke, it's hard to understand the pleasure of giving. But when you have and you can fuck up somebody's mind by giving them something that means a lot to them, that's pretty cool. Anyway, I don't really like know that this is 100% like a song I would go out of my way to listen to, but it's so weird. And then it just stops about 2/3 of the way through and has this weird like voice interlude musical break thing, and then it just kicks back in, and I don't know, it just kind of ends, and overall you're left with this completely vocal experience where there's choirs, where there's like almost drums again being replaced by breath noises and other such kind of sounds, and I thought it was so cool. I went from not really being into it, but this is so well composed and it captures such a great energy, because I feel like with Björk's music, when you listen to it enough and you put it on repeat, you get a real sense of the energy of the music, and it's just so warm and enveloping where like you almost want to go out there and just do random acts and kindness when you're done listening to this track. This is one of my favorites on the album. So I'm going to say, to me, it starts with a real high point. Like, it's really engaging. And, I mean, it's short. It's about by, like, Björk standards, because she can go up to, like, 5-6 minutes or whatever. So 3.5 minutes, proper, whatever. But, like, I thought it was just cool. And it got me. I had no idea what to come with the rest of this album at this point. So, as you are listening to my review, I hope that you'll show me forgiveness with any of the blunders I may say. Okay, so now we went into an area of music that I don't like ever listen to, and that's singular female-led vocal, let's just say a cappella single voices like that. Singular people like just doing it, like the raw vocal track with no beat. I'll take an a cappella group like the Pentatonics or whatever, and that's kind of fun and funky to me. But in general, I have not ever been a huge fan of just sitting there and listening to a person sing like this. I can sit there and listen to a person bust a hot freestyle like this. That's cool to me because it's more fun and upbeat. But this general sound is not my cup of tea. With that being said, the passion and emotion and like everything she throws into her voice, it is incredible how much she carries this song. Like, it is such a beautiful experience to listen to. So I can objectively acknowledge how amazing it is, and it serves as like a kind of cool little boundary between the two tracks surrounding it. So, you know, it comes in with this cool, fun, flowing energy, and then instantly it almost like feels like she's second guessing herself in a sense, and you have Show Me Forgiveness. And I, again, imagine being a parent is full of that kind of stuff. So show me forgiveness for having lost faith in myself and let my own interior up to inferior forces. The shame is endless, but if soon start forgiveness, the girl might live. I mean, she sings that out real slow like, and then goes ooh for a while at the end of the track and just kind of carries out this emotional tone, and it feels kind of heavy and somber. But I like that. Show me forgiveness for having lost faith in myself. I imagine as you make choices throughout the different parenting decisions or just life in general, you'll lose faith in yourself and you kind of have doubts like all the time in myself, and like certain things will happen, or perhaps, I don't know, you just put a lot of faith in a certain endeavor going a certain way, and when you wake up and realize nothing went the way you planned and ultimately you're the fool, you're kind of left wondering what's up. But then you lose faith in yourself, and it's in that moment when you start making bad decisions and you stop being the person you're supposed to be that it gets kind of problematic for your ability to function with others. That's when you let your own interior goes up to inferior forces, so the bad things that really shouldn't be bothering you, probably the little minute words in your head, the self-doubts, all the things like that that are popping up, which again you should be stronger than, is especially what you would probably be telling yourself in rumination mode. So the shame feels endless, and then when you start forgiving yourself and realizing life is okay, and you kind of rationalize it all, the girl might live. You might be able to go back to your normal things. So to me, it's almost like she had a moment in the first track where she, when in doubt, give, or whatever she says there, so she makes a choice. Maybe the choice wasn't good. Maybe she made a little mistake, and here she gets to evaluate it and ultimately go through the process of, when she says, show me forgiveness, I believe she's talking to herself about herself, because that's how you can kind of establish, like growth and building within yourself, is to acknowledge maybe mistakes happen, and through that you can find wisdom. But when you have faith in yourself, you can take these efforts and like turn them into something. But when you've lost faith in yourself, you'll get defensive and you'll stop seeing things as they actually are. And this is just my humble opinion, of course, but I don't know. I love the fact that Björk will tap into such base humanity in the way that she creates her songs like that. So I love what she brings to the table with so little in such a short little piece. And I gave it a 4.25 because of that. It's just like, I would never really listen to this again. There's so much other Björk music I like that this is not up there on that list for me based on a sonic preference. But the question is, when it comes to what music you would listen to, where is the line? So before I talk about this track, about 3 weeks ago, so after I decided to do the review, but before I got around to reviewing it, I had a little conversation with my girlfriend, and I'm like, you remember that track, that beatboxer dude? I can't remember his name. He sings that song where it's like, if your mother only knew. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about at this point. If you don't, the dude's name is Razel, and he does beatboxing, and I remember at one point that crap went viral around my life, and everybody was singing that, and everybody was trying to be a beatboxer, and myself included, of course. Everybody trying to be a beatboxer. And as far as beatboxing people go, I have literally never heard of another beatboxer up into it. So prior to getting to the point where I did this review, I had literally gone online and just watched the If Your Mother Only Knew, watched some video of him doing some live stuff, so I was super familiar with that. I fucked that up real bad, but that sound he makes as he does his crazy fucking pounding in bass drum things, and I was like, that was real exciting to me. Anyway, also joining Björk on this track is freaking an Icelandic choir, but Mike Patton from Faith No More, who is truly a fantastic vocalist and instrumentalist, and Gregory Pernhagen, who is apparently a human trombone. So I love the fact that, again, instead of instruments per se, it is a serious amount of heavy hitters in the world of vocalists to create this beautiful experience that you would listen to on this track, where there's intensity and drama, and throughout this song there's all sorts of different sounds that overtake the main like lead of the verses. Like in one of the cases, it's like this soft like whistling thing that just flows into everything, kind of culminating back into the main loop of the track, all back to this crazy chorus where each time it builds up a little stronger with "Where is the line with you?" and it's just really cool. Like, I don't know, as far as songs go, like I thought, okay, maybe I'm not gonna like this album because Show Me Forgiveness kind of took it away from that 5 line, and I'm like, okay, and then I realized, okay, maybe I'm gonna like half this album, because instantly my excitement drove back up. On top of that, Björk is a swamp monster that like eats her own fur and crap in the video, and I think Björk might be a furry. I'm not saying she's a furry in like a sexual kind of way, but I'm pretty sure that this lady really enjoys dressing up like animals as much as she can. And I think that's all it really takes to constitute being a furry. I might be wrong about that. I don't know. I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but I was looking at her in the video, and that was what popped into my head. This song is fun. Like, it's one of the more, like, I think I can really kind of get something out of it in a more relatable kind of way as a non-mother. But where's the line with you is a powerful question instantly. It's like ethics, right? It's how far are you willing to go? It's often something you would say to somebody who has either hurt someone like you're directly that you care about, or yourself, or something along those lines, but you kind of get the real essence that she's questioning how far somebody's willing to go in a non-positive way, right? And it could also be construed with the music industry in general, because we all know that they tend to not be ethically good. They've done a lot of corrupt stuff when the money's involved. And I bring up the money because let's look at verse 1. As it goes, my purse wide open, you ask again. I see you trying to cash into accounts everywhere. So like, to me, this is like a partner, a friend, somebody trying to mooch off of her, or just the music industry taking every freaking dollar they can out of money that should rightfully go to her. All of that to say, it's got this power to it where, like, you know, after the last song, it's like she kind of she gets over her self-doubt, believes in herself again, and now she's lashing back really powerfully. And I love this song. I love the way it follows up the last one. Like, this is a perfect story arc-y move for an album, in my little opinion. Then she goes in the second verse, I want to be flexible, I want to go out of my way for you, but enough is enough. And here you see like her trying to accommodate and trying to put up some stuff, but it's almost like somebody's taken for granted, even come to expect things, to the point where she's really just like, yo, the straw hit the camel's back, or broke the camel's back, that one on top of all the other straws. I really tried, I really did what I could, but at the end of the day, you just keep asking for more. You just keep pushing it. You're not really capable of understanding that there are limits to life. And for you, there is no line. So where is the line with you? And it gets more and more intense. Then in the third verse, I'm elastic. I want to go out of my way for you. I want to help you. And then it's almost like you just feel this craving, like, look, elastic, I snap in place, I come back in. So it's like I try to get away, maybe I try to push away, but I can't have it. I came back, I have to help you. I want to help you so badly, but I mean, at the end of the day, what's not being said is you need to help yourself. So at a certain point, when are you going to hit that point where you're willing to do so? I can only go so far. I want to have capacity for you and be elastic, lad, to be elastic for you. And it almost feels like as she being stretched so thin and whatever, she's about to snap and the capacity is being reached and she wants to be elastic again, but the elasticity is gone. And that's something that can happen with something that's elastic. If you stretch it too much, you stretch it too far, its ability to snap back into place and be what it's supposed to be again is gone. Therefore, if, let's say, you treat somebody who has a lot of money as like a bank account, and they come to feel that you're only in it for their cash flow, there was nothing you can say to like really convince that person otherwise. There's no value to you. You break the elasticity of their compassion or whatever else. So whether it's the music industry stretching her dry, or a romantic partner draining her bank account, or just everything, or maybe it's even about a kid, and a kid always needing to need more, and always having more, and there's never ending, and it never ends. I don't know. I don't really think this song's about her kid, but it could be. I feel like it's got some very powerful intensity as she's like expressing back against whatever. I'm elastic for you, but enough is enough. Where is the line? Where is the line? And it just kind of ends on this note where like you really feel that she's reached the end point and she's saying enough is enough. I guess that was pretty freaking clear. I digress. The song is a culminating musical experience of awesomeness. It really just has so many cool sounds going on at once. The hip hop style beat mixed with all the other crazy sounds creates this unique but amazing experience that you just can't help but want to listen to again and again. So I gave it a 5 on 5, and I would absolutely say this is one of my favorite songs and one I would go back to over and over again. On that note, let's talk about Vokuro. This feels like church music to me, with the way the choir in the background, ahs and whatever, just reminds me of like a Catholic setting where a bunch of people in robes are humming and hawing. And like this song is really, really beautiful in the sense that I feel like if I were to score a music, I could see places and scenes where this song would elicit exactly the kind of emotion I'm going for. This hauntingly beautiful, innocent situation. Like innocence would be something I'd want to explore with this, or fear in like a particular way, like something bad could happen. But again, link back to innocence, and it's just kind of nice and pure, but something crazy could happen. That's what I feel when I'm listening to this. But apparently, it's an old Icelandic lullaby, and Björk updated it, and it depicts valleys and beautiful nature pictures. So here's the thing. I do not really know what was being said in this verse because it's all Icelandic. Now, if this is something she sang to her daughter, which I'm pretty sure she did because it's an Icelandic lullaby, and she wanted to bring that here, I mean, it totally makes sense. It fits this line of this album of parenting, and really brings it in. It also shares like a touch of her home and her culture with all of us out there, and I totally admire and respect that. The English lyrics are translated from somebody for us here, which is amazing. So in the first verse, it's my farm and yours sleeps happily at peace. Falls snow silent at dusk on earth. My grass in yours keeps the earth still spring. And I'm like, yeah, that just sounds real lullaby-y. Simple ambiance stuff, togetherness, grass growing, like the seasons passing, I guess. Then in verse 2, it's nesting spring, hid at the hill's root, awake as are we, faith in life, quiet cold spring, eye of the depths into the firmament, staring still in the night. And I'm like, yeah, that just sounds like being out in nature and like appreciating stuff, and really just I like the focus on the little details that make the natural landscape beautiful. I don't feel like my lullabies growing up cared as much about nature like that, which is cool. The third verse, far away wakes the great world, mad with grim enchantment, disquieted, fearful of night and day, your eyes fearless and serene smile bright at me. I guess, so now I'm just picturing this as like a mom sitting there looking at her kid, looking out at the whole world as the world wakes up, and enjoying the serenity and the beauty of just staring at your child, I guess. Haven't had that experience, but I'll be honest, sometimes when you cuddle with the cat, it's real nice. So I guess maybe it's like that times a lot. And then verse 4 is my hope, your blessed smile rouses verse from sleep, the earth's rest, silent in arms of snow, lily white, close as her blue eyes, my little girl. Oh, you're singing this to put your kid to sleep. It's a lullaby. I just clicked. And you're singing a bunch of peaceful shit to make your kid go to sleep. It just clicked. I know you guys watching / listening probably were like, took him long enough, but yeah, I'm not a parent and I don't know that. I mean, it's fine. This is not really something I like that much. I mean, I respect it. I respect it's well made. It's really beautiful and crap. And, like, I guess if I had a kid, I might empathize more with singing lullabies. I don't. It's just, it was like a slow, churchy feeling for me. And, like, I appreciate the beauty in it, like I said, with my scoring a little bit. But I don't really think this is my cup of tea. So I'm giving this one a 4. And I would totally skip this track every time. Although should I have a kid, I'll play it for my kid and see if the like little baby reacts to it or something. I don't know. Anyway, next one is a title I'm probably not going to say correctly, so let's talk about Oll Birtan. This is such a strange experience. So this whole track is just gibberish, as in like ha to do do ha, and then ha 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 ha, and then like I don't know, other sounds. She just makes a bunch of sounds and stuff, but somehow it feels like it's carrying over this like arc of the story. It almost feels like you can still understand what is being said in the song. Like it isn't just a lack of a narrative, which I think makes it pretty interesting. Like to me, it felt right in the line of the other ones. Like I just pictured her like, I don't know, doing mom crap in the kitchen. Like I don't really know the specifics of it, but it felt like dancing around and whatnot, and she was having a good time, and it was like her kid's there, because I can't not think about her kid as we're talking about this album, even though I haven't even Googled it or anything. It's just the essence of just a joyful little morning. Like I feel like it's the morning. Apparently Oll Birtan, or however it is, means all the brightness. And she I don't know, she has a little thing about how she just wanted to make some gibberish and kind of break through a wall of light to shine in some sort of deep poetic stuff, just to kind of like express herself. And I think it's interesting, right? Because in the current era, there's such an attack on mumble rappers for like maybe not enunciating and clearly using words in their rap, right? And if you look at it from like a lens of pure hip hop and using your platform to say stuff and rhyming, I kind of completely get what you mean. But if you look at it from songs like this, where so much is communicated through just expressive vocal presence, just like an upbeat, interesting thing where it's almost like a template for you to add your own words. Like when she starts screaming, I'm just hearing, I want to be free. You know, like you almost put the words in for yourself. Like it's like a Mad Libs for a song. Or something that I think people don't like to acknowledge is scat as like the jazz vocal style of like the boom boom, or I'm the scat man, you know what I'm talking about. I hope you know what I'm talking about. If not, Scatman John, that dude has got a cool story. You should check it out. Performed till he collapsed on stage. Trooper to like the cause, like lived it up, man. That guy started so late in life that like Samuel L. Jackson, if you're under 40, you still totally have, and if you're over 40, it's never too late to like start chasing your dreams. Yeah, I thought this was such a nifty approach to songs, and it actually has inspired me, right? Because I can't promise that I'm some kind of a talented beat maker, but as I sit there in my life, I'm like, what if I just started recording random sounds for like the next year? I bet if I just tried real hard, I could fill a song or make a beat out of my voice just using. And you know why? Because Björk did this kind of crap and got me all inspired. Will I release something like that? I don't know. If it sucks, absolutely not. But if I pull it off, yeah. I mean, y'all can think back to this review, those of you who ever happen to notice it, and let me know. I gave this a 4.35. I don't really know what to do with it, but I like it. This is something interesting to me. Honestly, though, let's move on just a little bit, and we're going to talk about who is it. Carry my joy on the left, carry my pain on the right. I think we need to absolutely give our hats off moment to Rahzel for doing this whole one-take beatbox here. Now, what I interpret from a one-take beatbox is that whole thing you hear laid down is him laying it down. That was one take. That's him doing it without interruption, as in they didn't need to perform crazy surgery to make it sound like that. So kudos to Rahzel for his amazing beat. Like, it is absolutely stellar. The hip-hop cat in me can't help but be enthralled by the inclusion of such hip-hop elements in such an album that's so vocally carried forth. So that's really cool to me. It gets me more engaged, and it gets me happier. So, I mean, call that selfish, but that's what it is. I like the way it starts, I like the way it starts once the beat kicks in, but the way it starts with like the high-pitched noises for a second, she's just like singing and you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. And then it kicks in and I'm like, whoa, what a juxtaposition. So I'm not like completely sold on the intro, but it does serve a lot to kind of create a theatrical effect while listening to the song. So I kind of get where she's coming from on it. Plus, she's a significantly more talented person than I am, so who the fuck's my opinion anyway? Once the song kicks in, I think it's like a purely perfect. Like, I like the lyrics. His embrace, a fortress. It fuels me and places a skeleton of trust right beneath us, bone by bone, stone by stone. And I get the feeling that now she's talking a bit about her partner and the person who would help her with this, or maybe it's her child again, or I don't know if her child's a boy, actually. I don't know. But it kind of feels a little bit like she's talking about her partner, somebody which would be like her husband at the time, who, you know, you would imagine in like a functional relationship. So I'm just going to assume it's functional because you don't see her going on about an absent guy sucking or whatever. That he's part of it, and he's like a crucial part of it. According to her, she wrote this at the end of Vespertine, but like she didn't feel like it belonged on the album. So I do believe that a lot of that album was fueled by dude she was banging, her husband guy, which is fair. You're allowed to bang your husband. In fact, I wish like more married people would be like, fuck, so that like we could destigmatize sexuality in a cooler way. But nah, everyone gets married, everything's so private and everyone's so taboo and weird, blah. Either way, so I hear this and I'm like, after going through some of that baby stuff that we've had so far, and maybe some of the challenges that she's felt with emotionally, having this like verse where she just kind of shows, yeah, but I got my rock there, my center, it's really awesome. I thought that was cool. Maybe she wrote this to even remind herself that he's there, because I could imagine that being a guy in a relationship, there are many moments where I make her question if I have any intelligence at all. So it's good to know that like, you know, she remembers that I do. But that's kind of what I picture in this song like this. Like, she just almost wrote it to remind herself of what's up. If you ask yourself patiently and carefully, who is it? But it's also done in such a general way where you're left like where you can find out who this person is for yourself. It doesn't have to be a guy. It could be anything. It's the source of your strength that keeps you grounded, which I think is just an important thing being communicated in the midst of all of this other stuff. You know, you have your kid, your whole world's going on, but you have to also take care of yourself. You also have to remember that you count and you're important. And it's almost like in the plane when the air masks come down, you got to put your air mask on first, because if you pass out putting on your kid's air mask and you fail at doing that right, you both dead. Anyway, then you get the kind of chorus, who is it that never lets you down? Who is it that gave you back your crown? And the ornaments, they're going around. Now they're handing it over, they're handing it over, they're handing it over. And it just kind of feels like now a bit more like a Disney movie, and it's actually all the woodland creatures that are kind of swirling around and flying and redecorating her like a princess. So maybe it's just about finding your little secret place or whatever. But that's kind of what I picture from the chorus, and it's really upbeat and it's really fun, and I feel like it's comforting in a sense. Like I found myself really enjoying this one. Then you got your second verse. He demands a closeness. We have all earned a lightness. Carry my joy on the left, carry my pain on the right. And I kind of feel like, again, that's with that partner, where when you want to be close, part of that is to carry both the joy and pain. And so something I actually find I have a lot of trouble with in my current life, and it's going to sound stupidly weird to people, it's not the pain on the right. So it's actually gotten really simple to have the right network in place to carry that pain of mine on the right. But then there's the other part, which is carry the joy on the left. So I take that like it's people to win with. It's people to celebrate the victories. Like, do you know how complicated it is to have a lot going for you, let's say? Even if it's not tangible, even if y'all don't agree or believe me, there's a lot of things in my heart and soul that I feel like are wins that when I try to express them to people, like they can't carry my joy. They don't understand the things that fuel my joy and my happiness. And I find that to be such an interesting point that she brings up here, that like to be close means you have to be able to appreciate the wins and the losses. And this balanced everything. And I thought that was truly profound because of my own personal struggles right now, where winning is complicated. Like I do incredible, like I put it in an album recently. I'm not trying to plug it. I'm actually just trying to express how complicated that was for me, because I put this out and it's like nobody really knows how to react in my personal life. We're all fucking middle class office employees and stuff, and they're all like, that's great, you got your little hobby going. And I'm like, I put out a music album that I produced and stuff. Like, to me, it's a super significant joy. But, like, my girlfriend's not a musician person. She doesn't really get it. And, you know, like, I ended up at this point where, like, I'm like, wow, this is such a not fulfilling feeling because there was nobody to, like, carry joy with me. Maybe I'm misreading that, but that's kind of what I took from it, hearing those words. And I think that's a lot of how music works in general, is you have your own life experiences, you hear somebody else's life experiences, and the little baby that gets made when you fuck in your mind to create the new ideas is what comes out. So I give this a 4.5 on 5, and I thought it was a pretty great track. So if I check the time here, it's coming up to about 50 minutes of recording. And I feel like the right move right now would be to cut this for the part 1, even if part 2 might be a little bit longer. I don't know. I feel like it'll be approximately the same length. Still, I'm trying to do the shorter part 1, part 2 business because people seem to click more on the videos when they're not as dauntingly long. So we're experimenting. And anyway, this is about the first half of the album being done, taking into consideration what comes on the rest of the album and the intro bit at the front. So let me know what you think so far. Part 2 will be out real soon. I'm going to go record it right after I finish recording this one. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your comments. If you make that effort to comment, I'll make that effort to answer you. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for part 2 and more reviews. Like the video if you did. And special thanks to the patrons Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Coney Sparks. They're dope. They support what we do. They helped us get a new camera. They helped us get on all the podcasting sites like Apple and Spotify and all that, Podbeam. And because of them, we're going to have a website that I'll be fleshing out in the next couple of weeks. So thank them. They're incredible people. And they get to tell us what albums to review as well. So if you want to be like them, you can sign up at Patreon. Go you, person that might do that. And otherwise, I dropped a music album. This is the part where I do plug it. 2 weeks ago, sorry. And I would love to hear what you think. It's called The Alternative Grind. It's about me. So check it out. Let me know what you think, like I said. And on that note, don't got a lot more to say in part 1. So live long and prosper, everyone. I should do it like this. Whoops.